Britain vote to leave Europe and Brexit. EU referendum. Global news. EU referendum. UK vote to leave European Union. UK independence. The UK votes by 52% to 48% to leave EU after 43 years in an historic referendum. Brexit wins as Britain votes to leave European Union. London and Scotland voted strongly to stay in the EU, but the Remain vote has been undermined by poor results in the north of England. In markets, the pound has now dropped below 1.35 against the dollar as the markets reacted to the results, the lowest since 1985. Nigel Farage triumphant. Dawn is breaking on an independent United Kingdom. UKIP leader Nigel Farage, who has campaigned for the past 20 years for Britain to leave the EU. This will be a victory for ordinary people, for decent people. Mr. Farage, who predicted a Remain win at the start of the night after polls suggested that would happen, said Thursday 23rd of June would go down in history as our Independence Day. He called on Prime Minister David Cameron, who called the referendum but campaigned passionately for a Remain vote, to quit immediately. The UK has voted to leave the EU, a process that has come to be known as Brexit. Here is what is likely to happen next. David Cameron said the government would respect the result and carry out the instructions of the British people, reassuring the 2.9 million EU citizens in the UK that they will not be adversely affected. A new Conservative leader and Prime Minister is expected to be elected by the end of September. The day after a vote to leave the EU, this week's referendum has been billed as a historic moment, a cross on the paper sketching out the country's future identity and its place in the world. All EU leaders wanted the UK to stay in the bloc, and a leave vote has been met with disappointment and dismay across the channel. RT Global News. Nigel Farage has reacted with fury after Vote Leave said it would exclude him from a cross-party committee which will negotiate Britain's exit from the European Union. Mr. Cameron said he would leave it to a successor chosen in October to trigger the two-year process of negotiations envisaged by EU treaties when he announced his resignation in the wake of the humiliating referendum defeat. The process to take the UK out of the European Union starts with invoking Article 50 and will take at least 2 years from that point. Leave campaigners have said there is no need to trigger Article 50 immediately, suggesting that first there should be a period of informal discussions with other EU members and the European Commission to iron out the main issues and a feasible timetable. Some have even suggested that Article 50 should not be invoked until after the French presidential elections in May 2017 and the German parliamentary elections next year to avoid Brexit becoming an issue in the campaigns.